Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. We're here by our carrot bed. I want to give y'all a little bit of an update on our homestead here, on some of the things that's going on here. The bed here you can see is divided in half. This is our older carrots back here. And this end of the bed is 2 weeks behind these here. So you can see the difference in them. We're kind of doing our carrots in two different stages here because we've had such a drought here. When we planted this, as you saw in one of the earlier videos, we planted the whole bed. The drought, we just lost over half of the bed of carrots, and what I did was I cleaned this whole end out and transplanted them down here to this end and replanted this end now that it's cooled off some, and we're able to get a little bit more. Okay, we want to give y'all a little bit of an update on what our sugarcane patch here is. We've got our cane cut down, harvested, and we have went in, we've plowed the dirt back up on the roots. We now have taken the tops and the fodder and we've laid it back on tops of the rows, and it'll stay there all winter, and this coming spring we'll come in and take it off, fertilize everything and rebed it for next year. But just kind of let y'all know that when you do something like sugarcane, even though it doesn't seem like it's that much of a crop, there's always work that's got to be done to it. All right, y'all, this is our mustard greens we got growing here on each side of us. We're fixing to get ready to start harvesting these. You know, they're getting to the right size. You can see these leaves are as big as my hand, and that's kind of what I like, is to have them that size. You know, everywhere I look, I put my hand up there. They're the right size, so we want to try to get that done and get some a little bit more of them thinned out here. Get some canned. That's what we're going to be trying to do, is get some to can, because these won't last that long. Once they get to this stage, you got to move with them, you know. All right, we're between two rows we got here. These are our Georgia collards here that's coming on. They're doing okay, not as good as I'd like. It's just been kind of dry. We're still in a drought here. I think we've had 1 inch of rain in 47 days, so that's not good. And over here, the kale, it's not really jumping up like it needs to because it's just been too warm. And the fact that we're not getting any moisture, Wanda and I have held off about a week or so without without watering since we got that 1 inch of rain. It looks like we're fixing to have to go back to watering because I looked at the forecast, in the next 11 days we're not supposed to be getting any more rain. So we'll have to see how these hold out. All right, everybody, what we're doing here, it's fixing to drop down into the mid-30s. Not going to quite be freezing, but I don't want to take the chance with our oranges. We've waited all year for these to get ready, and they're so close to being ready. So we're going to go ahead and harvest them, not take any chances, and we're going to be using our Hoss tool bucket here to put them in. There's going to be so many right now. I'm not going to try to hold it because the tree's not really that tall. I'm just kneeling down here. I'm going to be picking them off. And it's best to snip them off rather than pull them off, because if you pull them, you pull into this part right here and they don't last as long. So we're going to go ahead and be clipping some of these off. And these things are great because they're homegrown, totally organic. That's what we love about them. No chemicals, no pesticides, just literally. And talk about heavy. These are heavy. Y'all see these limbs go up when I cut these off? You'll notice. You get the weight off of these limbs, they just start shooting up. I don't know how these, you take this little old limb right here. I don't know how that little old limb holds all them oranges on there. Another thing I want to bring in is today is November the 18th, and we're still harvesting at Deep South Homestead. That's amazing. I mean, that's the whole thing about having a homestead that produces food. We try to harvest some sort of food year round at Deep South Homestead. So this is just one of our other ways. Now we have other citrus trees on the property here, but we're just basically talking about oranges today because we like to see our harvest go year round. You don't just eat one time a year or during the summer months. You eat all year. So that's one thing, we like to keep something fresh coming in all the time at Deep South. All right, y'all, we've got it harvested. As a matter of fact, that bucket worked out real good because this is off of one tree here. There's probably, that's probably 30, a good 30 pounds of oranges there. And that's going to help us out a lot here at Deep South. We're going to have some orange juice. And you know, the good thing about these being homegrown and organic, Wanda and I dehydrate the peelings also because you can use them in marmalades and different type of things. I mean, there's just an array of things that homegrown oranges can be used for.
Leaf blower, cleaned off the deck, raked a lot of the leaves, and Danny shredded some with the lawnmower. This is to prevent a fire hazard, to keep the leaves from being built up around the house. It is November the 18th, and I want you to look at the figs on Grandpa's fig tree. Isn't that awesome? I've ate 3 or 4 already, but these probably will not get ripe because we're having cool weather moving in, but we're leaving them just in case. And we piled the shredded leaves up all around it.
All right, y'all, we're here at the greenhouse now. Because we're in a drought situation, the water catchment system up here, we've used all the water that we have in the greenhouse to water with. But I designed this greenhouse down here with a system where a water hose hooks into it. And from this water hose fills up our barrel on the inside when we don't have the availability of rain, which we haven't had any now, and I don't know if we're ever going to have any again, to be honest with you. We're in a drought situation, but I'm going to bring y'all in the greenhouse and kind of show you a little bit about what we got going on. Alright, this is our water system here. We've got the water turned on. The water's coming up in the barrel here now. So when the barrel gets full, we'll turn the water off and that water will warm up to the temperature of the greenhouse, and we're actually dumping warm water in here with our plants. It's at room temperature so they don't get shocked immediately. And then we have a system here with a faucet on it also, that when we if we need to pull a hose around in here and do some watering, we can actually do that in some of the pots where the drip irrigation system is not hooked up at. We have a watering can here. This watering can, we can unhook the faucet and stick it under it and run water in it to do watering also. Our first pot here, we have a bell pepper. Got some nice peppers growing on it. This is one we transplanted from ours outside. We're trying to keep our peppers 2 and 3 years because we're having better luck by doing that. This particular one here, this is a Marconi pepper. It has lots of little Marconi peppers on it. This is growing in here. We got some here. You can see these peppers are nice peppers. They're all back in here. We got peppers everywhere in here. This Marconi pepper plant here is 2 years old. We're going on year number 3 with it. Now we're doing some companion planting around it as experimenting. We have kale growing on this side. We've got 3 or 4 kale plants here. In the back we have 3 or 4 collard plants as companion plants with it here in the greenhouse. Plus we have in around it, you'll see some small leeks. We have leeks planted in between these. A little batch of them right there. We're just doing some companion planting. And beside this Marconi, we have a Siberian tomato growing in here. And you look next to it here, there's all kind of little carrots. We've planted carrots under the tomatoes. And then we have garlic. Just the purple garlic growing in here also. And there's a Marconi pepper growing here in the back with it also. Back in behind on this side we have another moringa tree growing here. We have some stevia in pots here in the back. We just clipped them back There's another one back over there, yes, back over on that side. We got a couple of stevia pots in here, actually 3 of them, I think. Yes, we clipped them back pretty heavy where they'll start to reproduce again. In the next pot, we have purple basil growing in the back here. We have a romaine lettuce coming on here. We have little carrots planted all around in here. We have a couple of little garlics coming up. We have another tomato plant growing back here in the back next to the basil. The next pot, we also have carrots planted around in it with some garlic. And we have a little tiny lettuce plant here. We're just giving these lettuces a little experiment to see if they're actually going to grow. We have a regular Genovese basil here growing next to a blue cherry tomato. It's one of the blue tomatoes we have growing here. We come in here every day and we thump the blooms to make sure that they pollinate, and it's working out pretty good because right here they're beginning to pollinate and put the little tomatoes on. We also have a little purple basil growing back in the back of that pot also. And this here we have our straight 8 cucumbers growing here, and you can see we hand pollinate them. As you can see, we've got little cucumbers growing in here because there are no insects in here to do the pollinating. We have to hand pollinate. And we have cilantro in a small pot sitting in the front of it. And this cucumber is growing all back up in behind everything in here, and it seems to be loving the conditions in here. And in the back there in the very back pot, we have a, let's see, this pot right here, we have a pineapple plant in the back, a small pineapple. This one right here, we have our aloe vera plant right here. Was that a dragon's tongue?
I don't know, it's a house plant.
It's a house plant. I think they call it a dragon's tongue. Then we have more pineapples. Now we've got so many pineapple plants. We got one here, one down there, one right here. One that's got some flowers in here, and then we have turmeric right here. We have a turmeric plant growing here. And more of the dragon's tongue, if that's what that really is. And then the aloe vera in the back. Ginger. My mind went blank for a moment. We have ginger planted in this particular pot right here. This pot, I have yellow crookneck squash planted in it. Chinese lettuce growing in the back of it here. We got a Chinese lettuce here. Got a couple back here in this one. Just trying to see how they'll do. These are the green multiplying onions here. We have a cabbage plant. We have more multiplying onions in this one here. And we have a broccoli plant in the center of it. Here we have another 2-year-old Marconi pepper. It's got small peppers growing on it, you can see there. Some more of them back in here there. We're trying to take this plant for year number 3. I have Egyptian walking onions planted around this one to overwinter in the greenhouse. We have another bell pepper here growing in this one. We have a baby blue tomato, cherry tomato growing right here. We have more Egyptian walking onions in this with a turmeric in the back. We have a comfrey plant here. Now this is the number 4 comfrey. There's actually 2 different types of comfrey. This is the number 4. This one it makes a seed head, but the seeds are sterile. It's no good for making seeds, but it grows from the root. In the background here, you'll see some of the moringa trees we have in here. As we've moved them in, they were getting a little cold outside, so we had to move them inside. Got several moringas growing. I hope y'all have enjoyed this video of what we've done this past week here at Deep South Homestead. We just wanted to show y'all a little bit about what it's like to spend a week with us doing some of the things that we do here. Thank y'all from Deep South Homestead.